Live. Okay, we're live here at the 4DMethod 4D in Wakanda user group in the February 26th, 2015 meeting. Welcome everyone. I'm presenting here from Illinois, and we hope to have people tune in from all around the world. The agenda for today is, well, I'll welcome you all, and we'll hear some 4D news from Jim Sobczak, some Wakanda news from Jiang Liu. We'll get a little update on the Purge plugin from last meeting's special feature, and Ed Hammond will update us there. I'll go over a few tech notes that I found interesting, specifically 4D this time around, and we'll get a demonstration from Walt Nelson of Nelson Computing on behind the scenes of Foundation Shell for 4D. Foundation has been a mainstay of 4D development, a tool for 4D development for a long time, and I'm sure it's got some new tricks up its sleeve that we can check out. We'll have some general questions and answers, and hopefully answers, and then we'll wrap up. Again, welcome. My name is Brent Raymond. I, from time to time, host the 4DMethod 4D in Wakanda user group. You can see our website at 4dmethod.wordpress.com and contact us at 4dmethod@gmail.com. We recently renamed the group from the Midwest 4D in Wakanda user group because we found that that the name was not quite appropriate anymore. We're getting a lot of participation from various places around the world. We've had speakers from anywhere from Morocco to California, and we hope to include speakers and participants from everywhere, basically. So just to recap the purpose of what we're trying to do here, the group like to combine efforts with other user groups from around the world. Sometimes it's easier to log in online instead of going and sitting down with everybody. It's not always that easy to make time in our busy schedules to go and have a beer with everyone, even though we're all just going to have a beer in our own houses and offices. We'd like to bring together a scattered community of developers and users. You know, 4D in Wakanda is everywhere. In a lot of places that we just you know, may not know about, and so we'd like to give everyone an opportunity to participate and see what's going on in the world of 4D in Wakanda. And as you can see, we're streaming the meetings via Google Hangouts to allow people to participate from anywhere. So this is still we're still experimenting with it. So there's always some, you know, there can be an opportunity for hiccups here and there, but I think we're getting better and better as each meeting goes by. With streaming it on Google Hangouts, it allows us to record all the meetings and presentations to be viewed again at a later date, and you'll be able to find all of those recordings on the 4dmethod.wordpress.com website. So you can check them out at your leisure, watch them again and again, whatever you want to do. Share them with your friends and family. And we hope to continue to provide fresh new content and exposure to all the regional groups that are interested in 4D in Wakanda around the world. To deliver some of the 4D news, we have Jim Sobczak here, who has recently gotten a new title, and I'll let him work through that lengthy title there. And he was previously the OEM manager, but now I think that instead of previously, that's an also. So, but I'd like to hand it over to Jim here.
Okay, thanks, Brent.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm broadcasting here from the conference room at 4D San Jose, and I have David Robbins with me and Xiang Liu, who are on our Wakanda team. Looking at a beautiful day here in Silicon Valley. So welcome, everyone. Brent, I wanted to thank you for putting together the meeting. I know it's a lot of work, but we totally appreciate your work on this and being so committed to getting the 4D group together. We're always happy to participate. Thank you for the congratulatory note. It's just a new title. I basically been doing the same thing I've been doing for the last 14 years at 4D, but a little bit more travel. So enough of that. Let's get into some of the news I wanted to talk about. Brent asked me to talk about basically the Roadshow, which is consuming a lot of our time right now. I wanted to give you a little bit of history about how that started and where we'll be going with the events. I don't want to take too much time here, but you've probably all seen the announcement about the roadshows that are coming up in the United States. So I wanted to share with you how they got started, why we're doing them, and what our plans are for the next couple of years anyway. So the roadshows started last year in France. It was called the Tour de France. They visited 9 cities throughout France. They were full-day shows, a half-day road show, and a half-day of training, and they were hugely successful. In those 9 cities, we had over 300 registrants, about 180 of whom were 4D partners. So we all followed globally as a 4D group. We followed the progress of those roadshows in France, and because they were so successful, we are doing some in the U.S., and it's actually made our event strategy a little bit different. So where should I start? So as you know, we used to have a summit every year, and the way we're doing this now is we're going to be having a major marketing event every 9 months. So what that means by a major marketing event is either a summit that you've known for the last decades. It'll be the same type of summit. We'll be doing those about every 18 months, and we'll be doing roadshows about every 18 months. So every 9 months there will be a new major event. So last October we had the summit in San Antonio. 9 months later, which will be May to June timeframe, we're starting our first roadshow. The summit will continue to target professional developers. It'll be the same format we've always done. Confidentially, I can tell you in this group that we are 99% sure we'll be having the summit in April of 2016, the next summit that is, April of 2016 in Portland. We're almost through with all the negotiations for hotels, etc. there. So that will be the date of the next summit. But more importantly, before then, we've got roadshows happening. So the roadshows will also be, so it'll be 9 months a roadshow, 9 months a summit, 9 months a roadshow. The target for the roadshows will be more power users, end users of 4D applications, maybe customers of OEM developers, but at any rate, they will be smaller groups in the summit for sure, and we're targeting non-summit attendees. Because what we found in France is there are hundreds of 4D developers out there who we are not reaching. They're not coming to Summit. The Summit is great. We totally love the Summit. Nothing happening with that. But we want to reach out to those 4D users who don't see us every year at the Summit. And that is the strategy behind the roadshows. So in the U.S., we are targeting for the roadshows that are beginning in May. We are targeting 6 cities, and you saw the announcement about that. That was released earlier this month. Globally, we'll be the roadshows are going to be hitting about the same time. We'll be on 5 continents, a total of about 41 cities, and the first city will be in early April in Paris. That will be the first launch. The technical content of the cities will, right, thank you. The technical content will be about the same for each roadshow. I can tell you that I've never seen a collaborative effort like the amount of work that's going into the roadshow technical content. We started doing this in December of last year. It's involving all the technical account managers from all the subsidiaries and developers around the U.S. So everyone's doing demos, everyone's doing their own documentation. Thomas Mall, who is the VP of Product Strategy, is organizing the whole thing, and honestly, it's just been a fantastic effort, and I think it's going to be the roadshow itself, the content there is going to be totally amazing. I think the people who attend will be really happy. It is free, as you know, and like the email announcement said, we've got 6 major cities, and we will announce the training next week. I'll talk about that in just a second. So the sales strategy for these type of meetings is we will be contacting customers who in our databases are still on older versions of 4D, basically 11, 12, 2003, 2004, 6.8, 6.6, who have never upgraded and don't attend Summit. We want to reach out to those people, let them know, hey, we're still here. We've been around 30 years now. We're on V14, soon to be V15. There's been some major changes in 4D that you can take advantage of. So the roadshow will talk about those changes and how to implement them. So that's pretty much our target. As you saw from the announcement, we'll be starting on the east, in the Midwest, and then the East Coast. So the U.S. Roadshow starts on May 13th in Chicago area. It'd actually be right outside of Chicago in a suburb called Schaumburg, which is where we had a 4D Summit at one point. I know you know that area, Brent, right? Who's laughing?
Yeah, no, I didn't move in that direction, but okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yes.
Okay, so we'll be having both a roadshow and a training in Schaumburg, and then from there we go to Boston, and then to New York, and then we take a couple weeks off after that East Coast swing, and then we'll be in Seattle, San Jose, and the LA area and the West Coast in early June. So just a little bit more about that. So Monday we will be announcing an advanced training. So of the 6 cities, we will be having an advanced training in 3 of them, and that will be Chicago, the New York area, and the San Jose area. It's a 1-day training. It'll take place the day after the roadshow, and it will be taught by Ad Comancherensri, who is our Director of Technical Services here at 4D, and JPR, whom you all know, so it'll be a collaborative effort there. The training itself is not free. The training will be, the list price for training will be $5.99. For partners, it will be $2.99 for the day. It'll be a full day. The topics that we'll cover there are advanced topics for professional 4D developers, people who attend Summit. I highly recommend those people who do go to Summit to attend one of the training days. Just some of the topics that we'll touch on will be list boxes, pictures and multimedia, 4D mobile, web, primary keys, things that all professional developers should know about. So you'll be hearing more about that starting Monday, about the training, how to sign up. You can sign up in the store. Like I said, the registration for the roadshow has already started. That's free. The initial response has been fantastic. Now we're just going to have to reach out. We got the initial flush of early registrations, and now we're going to reach out and reach the people who haven't registered yet. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell as far as where we're going with the roadshows. If you want to do a Q&A at the end, or I can answer questions now if anyone has any questions about those.
We can hold questions to the end. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. I think that's all I've got, Brent, for now. That's what we're doing at 4D here, spending most of our time organizing the roadshow.
Okay. Thanks for that, Jim, and thank you for your continued support of our efforts here. Next we have Xiang Lu with some Wakanda news and the news from the Jedi front there.
I didn't know how you scored that picture. I didn't even have one myself. I think.
Well, just Google your name. Do a what do you call it when you Google yourself? All right.
Is there a word for that?
Yeah, I forget. If anyone can remind me of that, that'd be great. But yeah, that's Xiang there in action. Okay.
Okay. So hi everybody. I'm Sean Liu from 4D sales office. I'm working majorly with Wakanda tech support. So I'm here to bring some Wakanda news, what happened since last year and what's upcoming in our future versions. So I'll be I've handpicked some news and features that more related to 4D developers and 4D mobile developers. So here, since Wakanda 8 we released last year, Wakanda have a major version about every quarter. So Wakanda 8 was released in last October. The major new features regarding 4D mobile and Wakanda Enterprise, which we use a lot with 4D, is the ODBC connector. So we had a 4D mobile connector connects to 4D. We used to have a MySQL, MS SQL connectors. And now we made it more generic ODBC connector. And we're working on a pro version, which will work almost exactly like you see with 4D mobile with graphical modeling and everything. And now it's available through code. So you can write code on Wakanda server and extend that to Wakanda clients. That was one thing we're still working on, and I think that will a lot of you will find that helpful. And in the current version of Wakanda 9, it's released in this month or last month. It's Wakanda 9. So Wakanda 9 brought even more new features. One is WebSocket that enables client-server two-way communications, and the new widget architecture is officially released in place. So we used to have an old widget architecture. Now we have it completely replaced. The new set of widgets are released, working one by one, that are released on GitHub, and we also put add-on in the studio. New widgets, new themes made either by Wakanda team or community contributions or some other developers, and they're all put together in one hub, and you can download to Studio just in one click. And next big thing I think some of you might heard of is the Wakanda Cloud. We launched a beta at the end of last year. It's been very successful. We have hundreds of developers signed up. It's free. It's everyone will sign up an account, and you get an instance of Wakanda server based on your need. So it's a platform as a service. Means everyone signs up. You get there, you get an instance of the Wakanda server. It's your own. It's customizable by the need and by the application. You can just deploy any kind of Wakanda application up to Wakanda, I guess, back to Wakanda 7 at least, and it can be it can be fully managed by the Cloud Console, and you can use all the existing tools to connect to them. Is there? Okay. So that's about Wakanda 9, and Wakanda Cloud Beta has been there for a few months, and I think in the future we're planning an official launch, and in April. Wakanda Cloud is backed by Amazon Web Service. I think we're still working on that. We'll see more about the news in the future month or two. And so here's some news here's some actual news that's upcoming in Wakanda. Maybe a lot of you might not see before. So in Wakanda 10, which will come in next month or two, is it's packed with even more exciting new features. One of them, I think, it's more up there, is the Angular Wakanda Connector and Generator. This allows Wakanda to connect to a front-end framework called Angular. It's made by Google. It's a user-friendly framework that's used by a lot of more front-end web developers. So it kind of not only has that, and it also includes other tools and tool packs like Yeoman workflow. This means a lot of front-end web developers who don't know about Wakanda can use Wakanda right away as a backend, as a database, and this opens the chances to us to reach out to more Angular developers, and for the 4D developers, when you need someone to work on your web applications, you can find someone familiar with Angular, which is a lot more. There's a lot more there. So that's one of the direction we're going with the front end side, and so I want to plug in something here. Is we're going to this NG conference that takes place in Salt Lake City, in Utah next week. So to reach out to Angular developers and target them. So I think we'll have new more demos, new announcements, and we're gonna give talks or videos, something like that in the conference too. So you're welcome to check us out there if you happen to be around, or you can see us online. Yeah. So one more thing for 4D Mobile is the in V15. I think it's out there. Is it? In V15, will be able to have object as field in tables. So that's coming to Wakanda and 4D Mobile as well. So it's a same feature, same as 4D. You'll be able to store object, and use them as in the same way in Wakanda. So that's transparent. We'll carry it on to Wakanda. So that's a really powerful feature. And in addition to that, Wakanda's I think that this will be particularly exciting for the existing if you have used Wakanda before. Wakanda's adding an export function to natively, so now you can export all your data, all the entities you have stored in the database in a JSON format, or alternatively, you can export them in SQL format. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have for now. So thank you, Brent.
Yep, thank you. Is there also some efforts for modifying the studio, the Wakanda studio? You mentioned that all of the widgets are being reintroduced new. Is the studio itself also going through an evolution, or?
Yes, it's going some evolution now. But unfortunately, I don't really have a clear time frame or clear roadmap on that. I just the recent modification is they made a rendering engine change, and they're brought in a 64-bit. There I know there's the WYSIWYG editor has become more powerful. So all the custom widgets, even custom code, you just write in Page Editor will appear in the studio right away. Yeah, that's all I have for now.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. Next, we have an update from the last meeting. Let's see. Make sure. Can everyone see my screen there?
Yeah.
Yep. We have Ed Hammond from the Art Institute of Chicago, who presented in our last meeting in January. Have a bit of an update on some of the content that he shared with us last time around. So let me shift the focus over to you. There you go.
Okay. I'm going to remind the people who may be seeing this streaming that they should look up last month's meeting to see the presentation on the 4D info report and component. All of the links to the component are there in that presentation, and you should check those links regularly because there is about once a month there's an update. Right now they've got a new version. I just downloaded it and have it on our development server, but haven't gone through all of the changes yet. One of the things that we found out in using the data that's collected in the info report was that we were coming into memory constraints in the operating system on our production server, generally right after the backup. And we had implemented a cron job that would run the purge command on the operating system to free up that memory, and that is still working. We had hoped to implement Miyako's purge disk buffers plugin. We've had some roadblocks with that, and the other thing I'm discovering about Miyako stuff is sometimes the documentation isn't incredibly detailed. I think our particular problem with it is the version of the operating system that we're running on the servers, and it may be that you have to run the purge helper tool before you actually call the component. The purge helper tool installs a helper tool in the operating system for the Mac OS that allows you to call the purge command without having to authenticate, much the same way that the HTTP helper tool helps the 4D web server on Mac OS. So beware that there may be some combinations that you can't, that don't have an immediate solution. You may have to experiment with those. I think that would about do it for the purge.
Okay. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, that's yeah. Just to reiterate, keep an eye on Miyako's GitHub, because there's always a lot of interesting activity there, and let alone with this plugin, the purge plugin. He's really active with introducing new plugins and capabilities for 4D. So yeah. All right. Moving right along, I just wanted to, as we have in the past, just draw some attention to some of the tech notes and tech tips that have come out in the 4D knowledge base. Not that any of these are the most important ones on the list, but just they happen to draw my attention. The first one being clearing project method comments. Seems like a very simple thing. All the project methods can have free entry text in the comment window, comment pane of the Explorer, and also it can be there's an option in 4D to autofill the comment text with created on and modified dates for all of the project methods. However, these created on and modified dates actually override the pop-up in the method editor for where you can see perhaps some of the method header which describes the usage of the method. And so if as has happened to me in the past, you have some number of methods which have this auto-filled created and modified dates. You don't actually have to go back through all of your code to clear them out. You can actually you can write code to access the project method comments and either fill them with your text of choice, or just completely clear them out so that the standard method headers and all of your code pop up. So I thought that was very useful and interesting. Next one, having breadcrumbs in 4D, and no, I'm not talking about the food. It's as you see on some websites, you can actually it's a visual representation of how you've drilled down into the user interface. There's a little sample of it there where you can see home, resources and learning, video, training, and so on. And each of those are buttons so that you can back out of your interface to wherever you want to go. And it shows a bit of a map for where you are in the application, and it can be quite useful. Save some disorientation from your users when they're clicking through multiple screens. So that's a tech note, a recent tech note that's available to partners at least right now. It's interesting. Also, how to highlight list box cells on mouse over. It's always nice to be able to show relevant information as the user moves their mouse over a data set, and that hasn't been the easiest thing to know exactly over which cell that they're hovering their mouse over. So this is a very good tech note or tech tip, one or the other, about how to identify where their mouse is. I'm sure we all have started integrating list boxes profusely in our interfaces, and it can be quite handy to be able to have that kind of an interface action. And also, I wanted to talk about this combine arrays. Now, not specifically, the tech tip on combining arrays, because that's not terribly interesting. We can all code that, or it's not that that complex. But there's starting to be a lot of interesting utility methods that are being shared in the 4D knowledge base that utilize the PHP execute command to just run standard PHP commands. So those are PHP commands that may not be in the standard 4D language, but we've written our own methods or wrapper methods or something to deliver that capability. So if you look in the knowledge base, there's becoming more and more of these PHP-based utility methods that can do certain things like combine arrays or conversions, unit conversions, or tokenizing of text here and there. I'm not even sure that makes sense, but check it out. There's a lot of good content in there. Right, so that's just a quick glance into the recent tech notes. Now we have our special feature for the meeting, Walt Nelson of Nelson Consulting, talking about the foundation shell for 4D. And I'll shift the focus over to him. Hi, Walt.
Hi, everybody. This is Walt Nelson from Seattle, and what I'm going to do is share, rather than show my face, do a screen share of my slides instead. Can everybody see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So basically, I'll go through a little bit of history of what Foundation Shell is. It was originally written by Dave Baton back in 1993, and
hey, Walt. Actually, I'm just seeing your Google Plus picture there. Is there any way you could share a PDF or?
I am sharing. I thought.
Okay.
We can see it here.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can see the presentation here.
Okay, good. Never mind then.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so what Dave Baton was a longtime 4D developer, and he came out with a professional shell that, for those of you who might not know what a shell is, it's a 4D database basically that it doesn't do anything itself. It's kind of a bunch of routines that you can use in your databases that are common to many of your databases, like menuing and handling input forms, output forms, windows, things like that everybody needs to deal with, and it basically gets you a starting point for a brand new database. And he, let me see here. Okay, then I'll go on and say who I am. I've been with 4D, doing 4D work since it was released in the US 1987, and I've been a consultant doing my own 4D development since 1990. And what happened basically was, after a while, Dave was trying to upgrade Foundation to V11 of 4D, and he wanted to. It had been developed in versions, boy, all the way back to probably V6. Anyway, it was developed as just a 4D database, and then components came out in 4D 2003, whenever 4D Insider came out, and it was rewritten as one of those 4D components where you could just install it using 4D Insider. And then when V11 came out, 4D re-architected the entire component mechanism, and 4D Insider went away, and now the problem for Dave was he basically had to go back and rewrite Foundation from scratch to work in V11. And he basically got about halfway through that and discovered iOS development, and decided that he would make a better living doing iOS development than continuing with Foundation. So he was going to just sort of abandon the product, but I needed it for my clients because I used it for over probably about 100 different databases that I had out in the wild that required Foundation, and to keep my clients happy who wanted to upgrade to V11, I needed to be sure Foundation was still alive in V11. So I talked to Dave about it and negotiated a price and purchased it. Long story short, finished the documentation and finished the porting over to V11, and that was several years ago now. And now we have Foundation version 5 for V11 on through V14. And so why do you want a shell? Why would anybody bother to use a shell? And the main reasons are, if you have more than one database you're going to be building, and you want to have some common interface or common user experience across all your databases, which is what I wanted as a consultant, so that it was easy to switch from one project to the next. You want to have a common base to work from. And the other thing is you frequently have the same routines you use in several of your databases. So many consultants already have these routines that they've collected over the years, and they live in all their databases. And another definition of a shell is it's something that you're going to use in all your databases. And again, like I said, you want a common interface across them all. So when, for example, if you were going to write some documentation for your systems, you would tell people, here's where you find all the reports, here's where you find all of your tools for exporting data, whatever, and everything will look and feel pretty much the same. So now, why would you want to use Foundation as opposed to building your own shell? Or actually, I guess there's one other shell out there on the market from the other Walt Nelson, who sadly passed away recently, that he open sourced. And but why Foundation? Foundation is rock solid. It's been around since 1993. You get the source code, so you learn from the code. You see how everything works, and you have the ability to modify the shell yourself. Not a black box that's compiled and you're basically stuck with Foundation. You can change it yourself. And the documentation, there's a 271-page PDF document that comes along with it, documenting about 26 different subcomponents that do various tasks and things that are common to most databases. And in addition, there's a private Google group where all Foundation purchasers can ask questions, give feature requests, and get feedback from each other. And there's quite a history there. So there's a lot of back information that you can see in the Google group. So the common problems when I was looking for a shell, and for those of you who've been around a long time, 4D even released a shell back in the early days called Skeleton, and then after that there was the G4 shell from John Zoltai and a few others. But the problems that I needed solved were, number one, menus. I mean, we all probably hate dealing with menus in 4D. They're just a major pain. And so if you build a custom database and you want to add a report for someone, you commonly had a report menu, and then you added another menu item when there was a new report, and that menu could get out of hand quickly. The other things that you commonly have to deal with are output forms that you want to always have the same functionality on all your output forms, like searching, sorting, deleting records, things like that, and also input forms that you want them to have commonality across them all, so that they look the same, feel the same. And you're also going to want to be able to, if you do use a shell, to have some hooks so that you can get in there and modify things with your code without having to touch the shell itself. So you're able to go in and, for example, modify how a sort works or how a query might work. For example, you might want to filter out records automatically that have been marked as inactive, things like that. So you want to have some hooks, and Foundation has those. So finally, we'll just tell you where you can go get this quickly. It's at foundationshell.com. The price for brand new users is $4.95. That comes with 1 year of support and updates. And if you're an old Foundation user, meaning before Foundation 5, that's a $3.95 upgrade. And again, that includes a year's worth of support, and then there's a $1.95 annual support to keep updated with new current versions of 4D. And basically, with every version of 4D, V11, V12, V13, V14, there's been things that broke in Foundation for various reasons, and so there have been versions of 4D of Foundation that needed to be created for each version of 4D that comes out. So we're up to version 5.6, and that is the one that is required for V14. Now, quickly, I just want to show the developer reference. Let me switch screens here to that one. Now let me see. What are people seeing?
We're seeing you and your wife's wedding picture.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, if you resize your screen, I think that it'll pop up.
If I resize my screen.
Oh, no, Jim.
Who, me?
Yeah. If you resize the window of the not the screen, the window, the browser window, it should pop up again.
It's a vertically oriented page.
Yeah.
There it is.
Got it.
Oh, I had it for a second. Now I'm seeing Brent.
I think your mouse has to go to.
Oh.
To Walt.
Yeah. That's a nice blue wall. Oh, there it
Okay,
is.
now we got it.
Got it.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to briefly touch on the various subcomponents of Foundation. There's an art component that has a lot of graphics for buttons and things like that, as well as art for dialog boxes and things like that. The buttons component is a separate component that allows you to handle buttons as well as the graphics in the buttons. There's a data component that has a lot of routines for formatting different types of fields, like phone numbers and names and URLs, things like that. A date component that most all of us, if we've done much 4D work at all, have had to deal with date formatting, and that's included. There's a dictionary component, which, for those of you who are familiar with object tools, is very similar to object tools. It's all written in 4D, but allows you to set up custom data types and deal with them the way you would with object tools. There's a full dialogues component that allows you to create custom dialogues and handle them without having to create them from scratch. The find component is a component that allows you to do queries without having to go to the 4D query editor. There are some general components that just do sort of general process related things, like for those of you who want to run a database where you have multiple windows open at the same time and each is behaving as a separate process. This is all handled for you here in the general components area. The input-output component, it deals with your input and output forms. So basically, when you're using something like Foundation Shell, the way I like to think about it is you're just creating a database where you're creating your fields, your tables, and your input forms and your output forms. And for those of you who remember the old user environment, you could use a database just in the user environment and never go to the application or custom environment, and your user would then have full control and be able to do lots of damage to your database. But if you designed a database to run in the user environment and added Foundation Shell, then you could very quickly and simply make it a custom application that had all the features that were available in the user environment. And that's what the input-output component deals with, is the input and output forms. So basically, you're just responsible for handling the columns that appear in your output form and your input form, and anything you want to have happen on input forms is completely under your control, and you build your input forms just the way you want them, and Foundation just handles the navigation for you. In addition, there's a list component, so you can do things like, for those of you who remember, there was a product called Display List that allowed you to do custom dialog boxes that showed lists, and that's what the list component does for you. There's a localization component, so that if you're going to use more than one language for your database, that's handled there. And there is a log component that allows you to log events in your database. Very, very easy to use, and will allow you to create external logs to document what's happening in your database. And one of my favorites is the menu component, because it does handle 4D menus for you, so you don't have to, and it keeps things nice and clean that way. There's a message component that adds a few features to what the standard 4D message command would do. There's also a navigation button that has helps with input forms when you want to navigate between records, and a full preferences component that helps you store your individual users' preferences, and again, you can create any kind of preference you want using that preferences component. There's a custom password component, so that if you want to use 4D's password system, you still can, but you can also customize and create your own password system. The benefit of this is, as many of you probably know, 4D stores the password information in the structure file. This would store the password information in the data file. So when you upgrade to a new structure, you don't have to worry about handling passwords and the password management system. There's a full records component that allows you to deal with deleting and adding records, and there's also a registration component that allows you, if you're building a database that you're going to want to market or sell to other people, you can set up a registration system so that your end users require some kind of information from you before they can unlock the full capacity of the database you create. And there's a sort component which allows you to create custom sorts and gives you a nice interface to sorts so that you don't have to go through 4D's sort editor. And there's a sequence number component which is used in all my databases to manage unique ID numbers for records. This doesn't use UUIDs, but does use logins, so it was built way before the time of UUIDs. In addition, there's a text component that allows you to encode and decode text in various ways, and a toolbar component that's used when you are building output forms that you can control the various buttons that you would add to the top of your output forms. Buttons for adding records, deleting records, sorting records, things like that, and it gives you complete control over that, the top part of your output form. And there's a virtual structure component that allows you to set up custom names for your tables and fields, similar to what 4D offers, but this again is under your control and is stored as data. So again, if you update a structure, you're not going to overwrite what you've already created for your end users to have a friendlier naming convention for fields and tables. And then another favorite of mine is the Windows component, which many of us have, created various solutions for managing Windows. This gives you full access to how to an easy way to manage all of your windows for sizing, for formatting of the windows, window types, setting the title, things like that. So that's basically what Foundation is made of. Now I just want to briefly show, let me see, some of the documentation that's in the code. Can people see a screen of code now?
Yep.
Okay. Much of this commenting of the code was done by the original author, Dave Baton, and for those of you who may have met Dave, he's very, very detail-oriented, very good at writing documentation, and so most everything that's going on in the code is commented, and you can learn a lot just by tracing through the code, and you can trace through the code of a component in your database if you have the source code and you click on the button that says trace into in the debugger. You can step through code that's in one of your components. And so, if you're beginning with 4D, I definitely recommend people try to find a shell or find some code that's well commented so that you can learn from it. I know I've learned a lot from Foundation over the years, and as a user group organizer here in Seattle, I've shown Foundation many times to people to show them the various methods and how they work, and people generally come away with new thoughts and new ways to do things in 4D. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about Foundation, and until we go to Q&A. So you can take it away, Brent.
Would you mind showing us a little bit of Foundation in action? So, like, what the interface looks like, of maybe what the sort editor looks like, and
sure, I can do that. If people actually want a demo version of Foundation, they can go to foundationshell.com and download a free demo that would show all of that. But sure, I can launch a copy here of. Oh, let me see. I need to quit the other one. And I have no idea what you're seeing now, though.
We're seeing you.
Oh, wonderful.
You look marvelous, by the way.
Great. Is my logo at the bottom reversed?
No, it looks good.
Oh, you're reading on my screen. It's interesting. I'm getting a mirror image of my name and 4D WordPress Guru. Anyway.
That's because you're inside the computer.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Scary place to be. Oh, there's going to be an issue if I share this. Let me see.
well,
Since
I know
Foundation.
that you have some.
What's that?
Oh, I know that you have some demos on your website as well, so I don't want to put you on the spot if.
Well, the problem is if I share just a window, the demo. Okay, well, yeah, I can do that. Let me do that.
While you're bringing that up, do you have to use all of the portions of the shell? Can you use individual components in, say, a code base that you already have?
You can, since it's 4D code, obviously, you can cut and paste, take out what you want to use. It does come as a single component. The earlier versions of Foundation, each of those components I went through was a separate piece, but due to popular demand, people wanted it all in one, because the majority of users do use it as a package. Given storage nowadays, I wouldn't try to take it apart. There's a lot of interdependencies that you would need. The documentation does tell you which ones are dependent on each other, so it's clear which ones you would need to move over if you were to, copy and paste. But I wouldn't recommend doing it. It would be a real pain. So yes, for people who have existing databases that have lots of existing code, Foundation can be used. But it's not a slam dunk. You will have to go in and realize that there are going to be other things that you're going to need to deal with. But if your database, if you could switch into the user environment and still use your database pretty well without referring to any of the menus, then you could convert over to a Foundation-based version of your application. So anyway, you're now seeing an output form, right?
Correct. Right.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to work, because what's going to happen is other windows are going to pop up when I click on things. We are looking at context, right? So if I were to click on the Find menu, you don't see the drop-down, do you?
No.
No, this is not going to work.
I'm not seeing anything, Walt. So what am I, Brent? I see the Academy Award picture where Walt is award for best supporting actor.
I have found that that the Hangout window will update itself if you just resize it a little bit. I don't.
Just resize this here?
The browser window.
The browser window.
Okay.
Just recording.
Whatever you're watching.
Just grab the side.
This.
Bottom, yeah.
No.
No, that's gonna move.
Okay, so sorry. Give me 1 second, guys.
No problem.
There, right there. Yeah. There you go.
Okay, hold on.
You had it.
I had it.
Okay. anyway, I'll just kind of walk you through the output form.
There, hear me?
Okay, now we got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I mean, these are standard buttons across the top that you're going to probably use in all your output forms, and you have complete control over what these buttons look like, their size. There's, I think, 3 different sizes that come with Foundation, and what I like about it is when a user comes to a new area in the database, they're going to see the same tools across the top. And the menus in 4D do not change as you move from, for example, contacts to invoices to whatever other tables you may be going toward. They still see the same menus in across the top, and it's up to the developer to simply put in some hooks for what's going to appear under those menus. So I really can't show you that here because I'd have to show you my entire screen and you probably wouldn't see it. The resolution would be terrible.
Well, sorry to interrupt. Can you hit the find dialog there? What happens when you hit that?
A window slides down. Do you guys see it?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing your entire desktop.
Yeah, sure you would. Okay. Anyway, let me see if this will work.
Not a big idea. We're just curious.
No, I know. Okay, let's try this. Now you get a whole bunch of windows, don't you?
Whoa, a whole bunch. Yeah, move the project.
I need to move this.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
And now you see. What do you see now? You see everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, here's the contacts window with the find brought down. Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
And so this is a standard call here that you would see where it would now show the fields in the table, and the developer has control over what appears here. For example, invoice numbers from another table, so it's going to pull that and allow you to search for that. It has this pop-up here, which is common to all searches. Search all records, search in selection, add to selection, omit from selection. And then this button here will take you to the 4D query editor. So it basically allows you to have a friendlier interface to find record rather than going straight to the query editor, which is here's the 4D query editor, that can get people pretty confused if they don't understand the structure of the database. In addition, there's the sort editor that allows you to limit which columns appear here for sorting, so the end user doesn't have to worry about fields that they can't really sort on. Printing brings up a dialog that you add all your reports here as opposed to adding them to a menu. So that's one of the main features I like about using Foundation is this can expand to literally 50, 100 reports, but we have control over what's here as opposed to going and adding a menu item every time we need to add a report. And so that's pretty much that. Here's what an input form can look like with standard navigation buttons across the bottom. The window title is created automatically. You can override it, obviously, but in this case it's telling you that it's from the contact table, and here is the first name, last name of the contact in the window. And the rest of this is created by the developer for the input form. Um, and then here are the menus across the top. So the 4D menu really doesn't change. There's a separate preferences here which you have control over. You can design your own preferences, and they are stored per user. So each user has individual preferences. The file menu just has the print, which is the same as the print button. Administration, which is another nice feature, that the developer has complete control over what appears under administration. So when there's something database-wide you need your user to do, like edit your company information, it brings up whatever you programmed to be here. And so again, when you add features to your database, you just add them here under administration. The edit menu doesn't change. The enter menu doesn't change. It's just new record, modify records, or delete the subset. The select menu is similar to what used to be in the user environment: show all, show subset, omit. The find dialog comes up. The quick find, which is the same as the one under the button, as well as the quick sort. And then these are the 4D query editors and the sort editor. And then tools, the navigation palette is this item here, where you have control over what tables are available to your end users, and you can control this by user, whatever group they're in, so they don't see certain tables. And the other thing that I like about using a shell is you can put under tools special functions that apply only to the contacts table. So for example, if you said, okay, I want to export all my contacts, that's where you would put it, under tools, special functions. Those tools would not appear if you were looking at, say, products. Okay, products would have, and here's an example of different buttons, by the way, that you can use, different size buttons. And note that there is a window menu that shows all of your open windows in the database and allows you to close all the windows as well. So that's pretty much it. So in the hundreds of databases that I've created for consultants, they all look the same. They all have the same menu bar. So when I give them my general documentation about how to use the system, it's got the same 50 pages of documentation for all 100 databases, and then I add to that when there's something specific about, okay, we need to go in here and describe what these fields are in products, for example, and things like that. So that's pretty much what it looks like. Any other questions about it?
In the most recent version for V14, is it a maintenance upgrade, or are there new features that you've introduced?
It's a maintenance upgrade. I mean, for example, you'll see here that you'll get the I'm not sure, items and lists. That's coming up because we are in the new products, in the new query editor. So the new query editor of 4D appears here. So but that's just using the standard query command in 4D. So no, that a couple reasons for that. One is for my clients, they don't they haven't asked for jarring changes in how the database works, so they don't care too much about moving from V13 to V14 and new features in the interface. So that's primarily why I kept the interface the way it is. It's what they're used to. It's what they have come to know and love. However, you can build new things in 4D, and Foundation won't get in the way. I mean, you will, again, since you have the source code, and if you came up with a feature that everybody in the Google group agreed was a good thing to add, then I would naturally add it. So not an issue to add new features that way. So, do you have some in mind, Brent, that you can think of?
Oh, no, just things. There's always an evolution in the 4D capabilities and language and whatnot, and I was just wondering if there are any specific features to the version that works with V14.
No. So, I mean, here you get the quick report editor, just like it is out of the box, and same thing with the label editor.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's pretty much Foundation, and if you have any questions, you can reach me at walt@foundationshell.com.
Great. Let's see. Speaking of questions, and also here's the. Oops, I need to share my slides here. Hold on. Here's the URL of the foundationshell.com there. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask? Very thorough review of Foundation. Okay, great. Questions for Jim, Jang, anybody on the presentation here?
I have a question for Jim.
Sure.
So Jim, the roadshow and the training, is the training like the day after the roadshow? Is there specific dates for that? Is it before? Because I notice on some days it's a Monday, some days it's a Wednesday. How is that going to work?
Yes. So we're doing of the 6 cities, we're doing a training in 3 of the cities, and in those 3 cities, the training will be the day after the roadshow. So
Okay.
it'll be in Chicago the day after the roadshow, in New York the day after the roadshow, and in San Jose the day after the roadshow. We'll be announcing that. Hopefully, we get an announcement up next. Wait a minute. Could be tomorrow, but it may be as late as Monday.
Okay.
And we'll have the announcement of the dates, and then you'll be able to sign up in the store and pay for the training as well.
We also have a question from online. Todd Fries asked, why Schaumburg for Chicago? How about downtown?
Well, we thought about downtown. What some of the critical criteria for us to choose a hotel and an area is free parking, because we're planning on having a lot of people there. Free parking and free Wi-Fi. So according to my events planner, Schaumburg was our best choice.
Yeah, in Chicago, that's a very high thing to ask for. Tough conditions, free parking.
Right.
Yeah. So okay. All right. Well, we'll see you in Schaumburg.
We're looking forward to all these cities. I think the energy level is really high here. We've got a lot of technical content to show. The beginning of each roadshow will be some business content that I'll be presenting. Short, though. I mean, these are not meant to be business presentations. So the business part will be maybe 20 minutes, a half an hour, just talking about 4D and how we're doing financially and whatever. So, but for the most part, these will be just awesome technical presentations.
So you're going to have, you said tomorrow, is that going to include specific information, like hotel information and all that kind of stuff?
We're hoping to get that up either tomorrow or next week, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay, great. Any other questions, comments? Okay, well, thanks everyone. Thanks, Walt, for your presentation. It's good to see Foundation and how it looks now, and thanks, Jim, and everyone at 4D for your continued support and for delivering the good news.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Brent, for inviting us and for organizing the meeting.
Yes, thanks, Brent.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right.